Right now, somewhere in your house, there might be a pair of eyes on the wall, a photograph, a poster, maybe just a light switch that looks a little like a face. You barely notice it, but your brain does, and that tiny, unconscious flicker of attention is about to explain something huge about why you behave the way you do when you think no one is watching. Here's the strange part. You are almost never fully alone. Not really. Not in the way your body understands it. Your conscious mind knows when a room is empty. But an older, deeper part of your brain doesn't fully believe it. That part evolved across hundreds of thousands of years in small groups, where being unseen for too long usually meant one of two things. You had wandered off from the tribe, or something was about to eat you. So your nervous system built a shortcut. When in doubt, assume you're being watched. It's safer that way. This shortcut still runs today, and scientists have found a way to switch it on and off like a light. In 2006, a researcher named Melissa Bateson at Newcastle University ran a deceptively simple study. In her department's kitchen, staff paid for their coffee and tea on an honesty system. No cashier, just a box for coins and a price list on the wall. Above that price list, each week, the university rotated one of two images. Some weeks, flowers. Other weeks, a pair of human eyes, staring directly outward. Nothing else changed. Same room, same prices, same people. But the coin box told a different story depending on which image hung on the wall. When the eyes were up, people paid nearly 3 times more than when the flowers were up. Not because anyone felt watched by a poster. Consciously, almost none of them even registered the image at all. But some older circuitry did, and it adjusted their behavior without asking permission from the thinking part of their mind. This is called the watching eyes effect, and it shows up again and again across different experiments, different countries, different contexts. Litter drops when eyes are painted near trash cans. Bike theft drops when eyes are posted near bike racks. Even donations to charity boxes increase. Why would a few painted eyes do this? Because for most of human history, being watched actually mattered. It mattered for survival. It mattered for reputation. A person who cheated the group, who stole more than their share, who broke trust when no one seemed to be looking, could be quietly remembered. And in a small band of 30 or 40 people you depended on for food, protection, and mating opportunities, a damaged reputation could be a death sentence. So evolution didn't just give you a fear of punishment. It gave you a fear of exposure, of being seen doing the wrong thing. That fear became so useful that your brain started applying it constantly as a background process, whether or not real eyes were actually present. You are, in a sense, haunted by imaginary audiences, and that haunting kept your ancestors alive. But watching eyes are only half of the story. The other half is what happens when you actually are excluded, not just watched, but cut out entirely. In the early 2000s, a psychologist named Kipling Williams designed an experiment called cyberball. Participants sat in a lab, believing they were playing a simple ball-tossing game online with 2 other real people. In reality, the other 2 players were computer programs. At first, the ball moved between all 3 players evenly. Then, without warning, the program started leaving the participant out. 2 virtual players. 1 real human. The ball stopped coming. That's it. That was the entire manipulation. No insults, no cruelty, just silence and exclusion from people who weren't even real. And yet, participants reported genuine distress, sadness, even anger. Some described the sting of being ignored as sharper than they expected from something so obviously trivial. Later, a neuroscientist named Naomi Eisenberger scanned people's brains while they experienced the same kind of social exclusion. The region that lit up was the anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that activates during physical pain. Your brain, it turns out, does not fully separate a broken bone from a broken connection. Social rejection is processed, at least in part, using the same machinery that processes injury. Why would evolution build it this way? Because for a social species, isolation was injury. A human alone on the ancient savanna wasn't independent. It was vulnerable. No one to share the kill. No one to warn you of the predator behind you. No one to help carry a sick child. Belonging wasn't a nice bonus layered on top of survival. Belonging was survival. So your nervous system treats disconnection as a threat, even now, even when the disconnection comes from a stranger online, or an unanswered message, or a group chat that goes quiet. This is where the two experiments meet. You carry a constant, low-level radar for being watched, because being seen once protected your reputation inside the group, and you carry a constant, low-level alarm for being excluded, because losing the group once threatened your life. Put those two systems together, and you get a mind that is never quite finished monitoring its social world, even in an empty room, even at 2 a.m., scrolling alone in the dark, even when logically, nothing is at stake. Think about the last time you did something slightly embarrassing while completely alone, and still felt a flush of self-consciousness. Tripped over nothing. Talked to yourself out loud. Sang badly in the shower and then, for half a second, worried someone heard. Nobody was there. Your ancient radar didn't get the memo. Think about the last time you refreshed a message thread, waiting for a reply that hadn't come yet. That small itch of unease. That's cyberball, playing out in your pocket, thousands of times a day, in every unanswered text, in every left-on-read conversation. Modern life didn't create these responses. It just built an enormous, always-on stage for very old instincts to perform on. Social media platforms, whether by design or by accident, sit precisely on top of these two switches. They show you who is watching, with view counts and read receipts, and they show you, in painful real time, exactly who left you out, who didn't comment, who didn't invite you, who unfollowed. 100,000 years of evolutionary wiring, compressed into a notification badge. This doesn't mean you're broken for feeling it. It means you're exactly the kind of animal evolution built to survive in groups. The discomfort you feel when ignored isn't a flaw in your personality. It's a feature that once kept your ancestors from starving alone in the wilderness. Understanding this doesn't erase the feeling, but it does change what you do with it. The next time you feel a flicker of shame doing something private, you can recognize the eyes on the wall for what they are. Old software, running on a body that no longer lives in a village of 40 people who all know your name. The next time silence from someone stings more than it should, you can recognize cyberball for what it is, an ancient alarm, mistaking a pause for abandonment. You are built to be seen. You are built to belong. And even in the quietest room, even with the door locked and the lights off, some ancient, careful part of you is still keeping watch, still listening for footsteps, still hoping someone, somewhere, is paying attention. Because for nearly all of human history, that hope was the only thing standing between you and being truly, dangerously alone. So no, you are almost never fully alone. Not in the way that matters most. Not in the way your body still, quietly, refuses to believe.